Let's talk about how we find the slope between 2 points. Now, I'm just going to put 2 points up here, and we're going to talk about how we would find the slope between them, but then I want to generalize this to a formula. Now, slope describes how much the y is changing for every x that we move, but you'll often hear the slope talked about as like the rise over the run, something like that, the change in y over the change in x. Now, if we can kind of think about this maybe a little bit the way that we think about the distance formula, like drawing a triangle in, we're trying to basically describe this hypotenuse relationship, right? So how I would think about this is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our change in y. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's our change in x. Now, what's difficult about doing this with the graph and thinking about the triangle is you can think about the change in y over change in x. You can say, well, it changed 4 units in y. This is the change in y over or divided by the change in x, which is 6. But what we miss with that is the sign of our slope. This is going down. And we think about reading a graph the same way we read a book. We read it from left to right. So the fact is, this started here and is going down as we read it from left to right. So our slope, we should really be saying that this is a negative 4. It went down 4 units and over 6. And sometimes that's kind of difficult when people draw a triangle because, of course, sides of triangles are always positive. But the slope here is negative 4 over 6, which of course reduces to negative 2/3. You'll often see it just written with the negative kind of outside of your fraction. So you have to be really careful if this is the way you are doing your slope, is thinking about it kind of graphically. However, we have a great formula for slope, which simply figures out how much did the y's change and divide it by how much the x has changed. We put m for the slope. So in this case, we had the point negative 3, 3, and we had the point 3, negative 1. So we'd start with the y's. We'd say, well, what are the y values? They're 3 and negative 1. So we would do the difference between those, 3 minus negative 1. And then we would do the x values. The x values were negative 3 and 3. So we would say negative 3 minus 3. Now, one note about this is it doesn't matter which point you pick to be your first point or your second point in your formula, but you have to be consistent. Because I had used this point up here first in y, I had to also use it first in x. So the minute you kind of decide, well, which point comes first, y minus y, it has to be the same for both. Well, 3 minus negative 1 is 4, and negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. Once again, you can see we get negative 2 over 3. So this formula works really well, and then we don't necessarily have to worry about, okay, did it go up or down? The formula takes care of that for us. We got our negative 2/3. Let's do another example. Okay, I put in 2 points here. I'm going to write down that those points are negative 2, negative 3, and 4, 2. And I just want you to know, because I'm going to use the formula here, that we're going in this direction. That is from left to right, that's going up. My slope should be positive here. Okay, so let's start with our y values. Again, it doesn't matter which one comes first, as long as you are consistent when you do the x's. So here are my 2 y values, negative 3 and 2. So we're going to have negative 3 minus 2. And then we do the same thing for the y's, or the x's, excuse me. We got to go in the same order. So we're going to go negative 2 minus 4. So negative 2 minus 4. Well, negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. And negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. but a negative divided by a negative is positive. So 5, 6. And we can kind of check this with our graph. And we'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 6 units. Up this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5 units, and we knew it was positive. But the formula allows us to just get 2 points and just find the slope. And just make sure, again, once you have decided, okay, I'm doing -3, that's going to be my first y value, and 2 is going to be my second, that the x's have to go in the same order. All right? If this video helped you, please like and subscribe for more math help.